Today, I want to review the Japanese anime Noir. I apologize for the long hiatus, as life has been quite busy over the past few weeks. As a token of my commitment, I will be reviewing both episodes of Cold-Blooded Killer today. It's been over 15 years since I last watched these episodes. I recall watching with friends, and many expressed their dissatisfaction, citing the fight scenes as overly cartoonish. The main characters seem to have plot armor, surviving situations that would typically be fatal. In anime, characters can sometimes escape unrealistic situations believably if the show's universe is well established. For example, in Naruto, it's known that he gains the powers of the Nine-Tails Fox when enraged. This makes his power-ups believable because the groundwork is laid early in the series. In Noir, the main characters often find themselves in life-threatening situations but manage to survive, and some shootouts could have had better choreography to enhance realism. Despite that, I am eager to delve into these two episodes. Watching Cold-Blooded Killer Parts 1 and 2 again, I truly appreciate the storytelling, which effectively sets the stage for discussions about these episodes and conclusion of Noir. For those unfamiliar with my previous reviews, episodes 17 to 26 constitute Part 3 of the series. Part 2 introduces Chloe and concludes with her killing the cold-blooded killer. Shows that build up to an ending, unlike some anime like Cowboy Bebop, feel more well-crafted when the plot is cohesive and leads to a satisfying conclusion. I also admire the animation, capturing the essence of Taiwan with its majestic mountains, old buildings adorned with Buddha statues, and neon streets. This is done masterfully. Unlike the intalkable Parts 1 and 2 of Noir, present characters with motivations that feel genuine and consistent with prior episodes. Creative risks taken with the villain's motivations enhance the narrative, although some fight sequences lack realism. As the series is grounded in realistic combat, much of it remains believable and avoids implausible escapes. Lastly, the use of music, sound samples, and sound design creates a strong, eerie atmosphere and heightened tension. Without further ado, here's my review of Cold-Blooded Killer, Parts 1 and 2. Before I start, I want to mention that I watched both episodes with Japanese subtitles translated into English. In the English dub, Shaoli is referred to as the Cold-Blooded Killer, whereas in the Japanese dub, she's called the Cold-Eye Killer. Cold-Eye Killer sounds way more fucking cool. The episode begins with a serene yet foreboding visual, a statue reminiscent of Buddha or a Japanese deity, draped in crimson red. An ethereal Asian flute melody fills the air. A Chinese government official named Song approaches, offering incense and prayer before the towering figure. Behind him, structures with Taiwanese architecture set the scene unmistakably in Thailand. Without direct exposition, the episode expertly immerses the audience in a location where Mirai and Karika will soon enter. Descending the temple steps flanked by two companions, Song pauses to retrieve a handkerchief for a woman, inadvertently allowing her to prick him with her nails. As she ascends the temple once more, Song collapses in a choking fit. The chilling gaze of Shaoli, known as the Cold-Eyed Killer in the Japanese dub and the Cold-Blooded Killer in the English version, follows the sound as fall, a knowing smile playing upon her lips. One bodyguard observed the scene with unsettling indifference. This powerful introduction not only establishes the key players in the episode, but also highlights the danger and influence wielded by Shaoli. The background screams and the rush of tourists towards Song's lifeless body amplified attention, showcasing exceptional sound design that injects realism and underscores the villain's threat. Meanwhile, in Paris, Karika and Mirai return home after a day spent exploring flea markets. Their journey features an intriguing moment where a figure resembling Inspector Gadget, with a detective hat obscuring his features, lingers in their direction. This subtle focus effectively foreshadows the soldat's looming presence, setting the stage for the anime series' third act. However, the episode does linger excessively on scenes of the flea market, seemingly padding the runtime unnecessarily. Upon reaching their apartment at sunset, the orange-red hues of the hallway evoke an ominous atmosphere, often associated with blood and imminent danger in the series. The transition from energetic music during their shopping trip to an unsettling, tension-filled score as they enter their home marks a masterful use of sound, capturing the psychological drama and ever-present danger surrounding these characters. It's an engaging element that enhances the thriller and mystery narrative. Inside Mirai's apartment, the duo discovers evidence of an intruder. Mirai's gun is at the ready, her actions mirroring those of a trained officer confronting a violent threat. Karika reads a letter left behind, signed by the soldats, signaling their intent to make direct contact with Noir. This revelation is significant, as the soldats typically operate through proxies, maintaining anonymity. The letter, an overt signal of escalation, artfully sets up future plot developments and readies the audience for the series' climax. Unlike other series, such as Cowboy Bebop, where endings can feel abrupt, Noir skillfully craft a narrative crescendo, providing satisfying closure, akin to a masterfully plotted denouement. Here, the careful pacing respects and engages the audience's intelligence, providing a strong contrast to less cohesive finales, such as Naruto Shippuden. The scene transitions to Altina peacefully harvesting grapes in her vineyard, located on the border of France and Spain. Her tranquility is momentarily disturbed as a moth lands on a cluster of grapes she is about to pick. This unsettling sight serves as a symbolic premonition, suggesting Noir's vulnerability against a poisonous insect, which is how Altina perceives Shoali. The symbolism here is potent. Certain moth species can indeed be poisonous and destructive to plants. This metaphor likens Shoali to a moth, capable of corrupting and threatening the purity represented by the grapes. Grapes, often a symbol of purity and sanctity, reflect Altina's view of Karika, Mireille, and Chloe as pure souls, despite their roles as assassins. Moreover, the episode's narrative structure benefits from cutting between different characters, maintaining engagement by ensuring each scene contributes meaningfully to the story. This careful attention to character relevance enhances the pacing and depth, avoiding the pitfalls of unnecessary filler. Altina's moment of vulnerability adds nuance to her character, revealing a layer of personal weakness that strengthens the storytelling. Despite her adherence to a dangerous ideology, Altina's care for Noir is starkly highlighted. Analyzing her psychology could be an intriguing future project. As the scene shifts, we observe Mireille delving into research on Hong Iban, a formidable Taiwanese criminal syndicate linked to the Triads, a powerful crime organization in Taiwan. Noir's mission to eliminate the Triad Elder follows the unsanctioned killing of Song by the Hong Eben, marking a critical tipping point in the power struggle between the Soldats and the Triads. This intrigue surrounding the Soldats adds layers to their mystique throughout the series, engaging audiences to draw their own conclusions. The transition to the Taiwanese cityscape, with its beautifully illuminated buildings in amber and gold tones, further enriches a visual and thematic tapestry of the episode. Inside their room, Mireille and Karika reflect on the Soldats' encroaching influence. Karika expresses her apprehension that their mission to Taiwan could be a trap, while Mireille insists on pursuing their goal of connecting with the Soldats, even if it means risking a fallout. Mireille's fearless resolve contrasts with Karika's intuitive caution, showcasing their distinct approaches to danger. This tension underscores the complexity of their partnership, driven by both friendship and shared purpose. The episode skillfully interweaves character conflict, enhancing the narrative with realistic dimensions. Although Mireille and Karika's differences are not always thoroughly explored, their clashes lend authenticity to their relationship. Such relational dynamics are often missing in narratives featuring invincible characters, making this portrayal a strength of the anime. The Cold-Blooded Killer Part 1 showcases some of the series' finest writing, foreshadowing individual developments in the final story arc. The artful balance of symbolism, character depth, and narrative tension establishes it as one of the standout episodes in Noir. The scene transitions back to the manor, where Chloe decides to defy Altina and leaves without her permission. Chloe leaves a letter explaining that she is concerned about Noir and wants to help him out in Taiwan. It's unclear whether Altina shared her visions of Noir being in danger with Chloe, or if Chloe possesses her own clairvoyant abilities. Adding to the confusion is a voiceover from Altina expressing her feelings about Chloe, almost as though she's responding in a letter. This could have been clarified better, but the episode's engaging nature allows viewers to overlook it. Ultimately, Altina gives Chloe her blessing to travel and assist Noir. There's a stunning visual of Chloe departing during sunrise or sunset, set against a vibrant sky, enhancing the episode's art design. This scene also establishes a relationship between Altina and Chloe as being like that of a mother and daughter. It also reveals Chloe's vulnerability. Her care for Karika drives her to defy Altina, who is both a powerful figure in the Soldats and a mother figure. This foreshadows Chloe's character arc and significant decisions due to her strong feelings for Karika. In the next scene, we return to the Triad Elder, where information reiterated about the Soldats emphasizes the Triads' intent to crush Noir and defend themselves against the Soldats. This scene effectively highlights the Triads' motives. They are fighting for survival, not just power. Additionally, the revelation of an informant from the Soldats fighting alongside Karika and Mariel adds depth. This character moment enriches a narrative, showing a realistic dynamic within a criminal organization where allegiances can shift. It illustrates that the Soldats support Noir, a creative risk that pays off and adds detail to the storyline. Shouli discloses that Noir is the 1,000-year-old darkness of Europe, suggesting its establishment around the year 1000. This is symbolic, potentially representing the resurrection of Jesus, occurring every 1,000 years. Shouli also mentions her family's history with the Triad extending back 2,000 years, highlighting her overconfidence. Ultimately, age is less significant than skill in such syndicates. The episode cuts back to a hotel where Mariel and Karika receive a message about meeting the informant. The next day, they visit a temple with extensive steps, leading to what is, in my view, the series' most beautiful scene. The overcast sky creates a gray tone against which the Taiwanese landscape unfolds. Towering skinny mountains, gray skies, dense forests, and rocky peaks crowned with temples. It reminds me of my art history class and textbook images, capturing Taiwanese art's essence. At the temple, the informant provides details about Shaoli and the triads. Mariel, holding the foreman at gunpoint, demands all information about the soldats. He responds, "I was instructed to cooperate with you to a certain point." The scene cuts to triad members assembling with luxury cars and vans at the temple's base. The temple towers with over 100 feet of steps, adding realism to scenario where Noir might not detect the ambush until it closes in. Tension builds as Shaoli paints her nails with toxins, preparing for battle and showcasing each character's motivation. Subsequent fight sequences raise controversy. The anime emphasizes realistic violence, meaning injuries and escapes must align with reality, yet some scenes defy this principle. An example is Karika avoiding a grenade's impact in a wooden room, where splintering wood or fire could logically result. Another instance involved a gun pointed at Karika's head, with hesitation by the assailant before Chloe saves it with a knife throw, an unrealistic hesitation from professional assassins. Lastly, Mariel's fall from a 30 to 50-foot balcony onto roof tiles is improbable for survival. Even with a coat potentially shielding her from broken tiles, the lack of visible injury afterward reduces realism. My personal experience with being in a car crash reinforces the implausibility of Mariel's unscathed appearance, as significant force is comparable and should logically result in some form of injury in subsequent scenes. I will add that the theme of Showa Lee is one of the best in the entire series. There's a bunch of chanting that sounds like it's either in a Middle Eastern language, and there are also drums, which is very unsettling. It really captures the element of intimidation that Showa Lee brings. One thing that I like is that I don't think it's featured outside of the 2 cold-blooded killer episodes, which is very good creative self-control, because it just works for a character, and you need to have it associated with her character. The other thing I want to mention is that this does have a psychological impact on me. When I was watching the fight sequence between Mariel and Showa Lee, I had some very vivid flashbacks of watching the anime series for the first time in 2005. I remember watching it during spring break, and I was completely glued. I also remember that I lived in Guilford, Connecticut, where that area has a lot of trees and forests, and I believe it was during a thunderstorm or rainy weather, and the sky was darkening. It really had a comparable element to the artistic drawings of Taiwan that they had in this episode. It was also a time when I had to watch this anime in secret, because my parents were very strict and thought that I shouldn't be watching anything that was violent, even though I was 18 years old at the time. A lot of emotional breakdowns have come from witnessing domestic violence that's happened at home, as well as emotional abuse I was receiving from my parents, and them telling me the story about my very abusive and neglectful biological mother. They had the inability to see their behavior and their storytelling impact on me. I was also very lucky because I was able to watch a majority of the episodes, and I felt that after suffering years of depression and years of loneliness, this made me happy. Watching the series back in high school was one of the happiest moments of my entire life. I did write an essay for college where I talked about the day before I was going on a field trip to an anime shop in New London, Connecticut, where I was abusing antidepressants because I wanted that to come quicker. I really resonated with Karika because I was going through a lot of depression and a mental health crisis, along with a lot of anxiety. It would be something that I would like to do for a future video. But also talking about, I think, how powerful a character resonates with you. But also the difference between being a fan of art and being obsessive. And also the impact of loneliness and wanting to connect with somebody, even if a show resonates with you more than real people. But definitely the series really helped me through a very, very hard point in my life, where I felt very alone. I didn't know that much about my biological family, so I connected with Karika about having a mysterious origin. I felt that because my school and my parents were forcing me to take medication that gave me a lot of depression and suicidal thoughts. It almost felt like the Soldat organization, or a group of people deciding for me and not caring about my safety, and I couldn't speak out about how it was actually damaging me. The other part of it is that Karika suffers from loneliness, heartbreak, wanting to die, and a lifestyle where things are just tragic and don't work out, and she's impacted by a lot of toxic people around her who don't care about her well-being or do more harm than help. She's trying to redeem herself for her sins and figure out who she was, all things that resonated with me. So that's why this anime is very powerful to me, and sometimes when I watch it, I do have flashbacks to earlier parts of my life. In conclusion, I initially underestimated the Cold-Blooded Killer Part 1 episode, but it turned out to have far more positives than negatives. The storytelling was exceptionally strong, and the fight scenes were portrayed with a commendable degree of realism. The episode excelled in character development and used foreshadowing sparingly, which kept the audience intrigued. The revelations about the soldats and other key elements were well balanced, providing just enough information to pique interest without overwhelming the viewer. Additionally, the conflicts between characters were established in a manner that felt true to their personalities and motivations. Another notable strength of this episode is its depiction of the Taiwanese mafia, or triads. While I haven't done extensive research on these organizations due to time constraints, the ambiguity provides the series with creative freedom. Unlike the Intoccable episodes, which depict the Italian mafia and require a certain level of accuracy due to public familiarity, this episode benefits from its esoteric focus, avoiding potential criticism for a lack of realism. The episode's one notable lapse in realism was a scene where Karika has a gun pointed at her temple, but the shooter hesitates, despite the well-established danger posed by the members of Noir. On the other hand, the scene where a grenade is thrown at her is more believable, as her survival instincts would naturally lead her to evade it. However, Mireille's fall from a significant height onto a rooftop stretches the bounds of realism, despite her long coat potentially absorbing some impact. This deviation is minor considering the anime's commitment to realistic violence, unlike cartoonish portrayals where characters survive in plausible scenarios. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, which sets the stage effectively for the subsequent part of the series. If I were to recommend episodes from this anime, The Cold-Blooded Killer, Part 1 would certainly be on that list.